Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. So just to show you who I got so far and where you can send a sticker if you want a nice shout out. And there we go. I got something a little different I want to do today. If you guys could see the trees moving, that's the kind of that Hurricane Hermine or whatever his name is. It didn't hit inland inland New York, obviously, but it is blowing around a bit, and it makes you stop and think, if I could put a few things together, what would I put together? And why would I put it together? And how would I do it in a way that it's portable and waterproof and so forth, like that? So what I have here, and this is the Home Depot version of the 5-gallon bucket with the top. I was in Lowe's. I've had this bucket floating around for a while. But I was in Lowe's and they have a similar thing, but it's blue. I actually like the color blue better than orange, though. Orange would stand out better, I guess. So anyway, let's just pretend that you have this 5-gallon survival bucket and you're going to put a few things in there. And what would those things be? Now, about this challenge, it's very easy to say, oh, I'd go out to eBay and buy, this fancy stove that'd fit right in there and it only weighs an ounce, or I'd buy, I put, my Glock in there and, 50 rounds of ammo. Well, that's fine, and that might, depending on your circumstances, that might be the best use of your time, bucket, and space. But if you stop and think, you can live 3 to 5 minutes without air. You can live 3 to 5 days, depending on the condition you're in and, what you're being exposed to. You can live 3 to 5 days without water, and you can live, 20, 30 days without food. So, personally, why would I even think of bringing a bucket? So let's start with that. I would pick up a bucket because you can put whatever in there. It's relatively easy to carry, right? You can put a top on it. Later on, should you have to move a large amount of water or something like that, now you have a bucket to do it with. The other reason why I would bring a bucket is this. You can sit down on the bucket and be comfortable, right? Your butt isn't in the wet ground, none of that. You're all good. So that's one reason. One of the first things I would put in the bucket is water. Once again, you can live 3 to 5 minutes without air. Though if you were really desperate and you had your bucket, you could pull the top off and stick your head in there and get a gasp or two, which might carry you just that, 30 seconds longer. But let's forget about air. Let's assume you have air. If you don't have air, you got much bigger problems. Next thing I do, I put water in here. These are about 17 fluid ounces. They say you should have about 64 fluid ounces a day. So that's a little over 3 of those bottles. 8-ounce glasses. Most people don't drink that much. I'm thinking that you could probably drink 3 of those 3 of those bottles every day, and now you're good for 2 days. But let's get back to the pretending. So you're sitting on your bucket, and try not to kick the bucket, eh? You're sitting on your bucket and you're drinking your water. And now what are you going to do? So in my opinion, that determines what you should put in the bucket next. Now it depends where you live. For me, my most common problem is loss of electricity. And depending, if I lose electricity and get a tremendous amount of rain, like inches of rain, I could get to the point where I get a couple of inches of water into my basement. Anybody notice a problem with that? The way that's set up is, and the way my land is pitched, unless I get like a foot of water, that's not getting wet. So one of the things I have to do, if I know a real storm is coming, that generator's got to get out of there. It's got to go to higher ground. Even with the worst direct hit storms, there's been no flooding anywhere near this high. I mean, if it gets this high, I've really got problems, right? I'm to the point where water's starting to get ready to go into the second story, right? I mean, I got water gushing over the gutters. I got all kinds of crazy problems. But one of the things I would have to do is, you could see my generators on wheels. I'd very quickly have to roll it back here and get it fired up and plugged in and all that kind of stuff. My furnace would function probably until I get about 8 inches of water in the basement. I've never seen it anywhere near that high. Though, what did they have? Like 20 inches of rainfall in Louisiana? It was some crazy number like that. If you have that kind of number fall, everything you might as well forget about. I think there's going to be flooding everywhere, anywhere, and I think all bets are off. Everything you think you know about if you're going to get flooding or not get flooding, I think you might want to really think about that. Unless you're looking downhill in all directions, like where my son's house is. He's kind of on top of a dome, and it goes down in all directions. But even with that, his basement occasionally would get water, so he'd probably end up with some water in the basement. I doubt enough to flood the place, but he would definitely get some water down there. So, the bucket challenge. I'm not going to go with a contest on this. I still have a contest pending, and I'm thinking of doing a 2,500 subscriber contest, which is only like 150 people off. So I'm not thinking I want to do a contest for this, but I think it'd be interesting for everybody to kind of put some input. I'm going to give it a couple of days, and then I'm going to show you guys what else I'd put in this bucket. My suggestion is try to use a lot of dollar store stuff. The reason being, why tie up huge amounts of money? The nice thing about a bucket is, once again, if you got somewhere to go, you just pick it up and take it. The maximum weight you can really put in this bucket, I mean, unless you're filling it with gold or dirt or something like that, is if you figure it was full, all 5 gallons worth of water, it would be about 40 pounds. So, the bucket challenge. You have a 5-gallon bucket, the lights are out, or you got a bit of a problem. What would you put in here? I showed you the first thing I would put in my bucket is I'd put water in there. If you put water in your bucket, you know you're set up for a couple of days. And I also showed you that I would bring a bucket, and the reason being so that I have some place to sit and drink my water as I contemplate my fate and what I'm going to do next. But what you're going to do next partly depends, obviously, on the circumstances, but it also depends on what's sitting in your bucket, who else is with you, who else you have to take care of, stuff like that. Alright, folks. Oh, God. Alright, folks. I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Thank you for playing my little challenge. You guys could put out a list of everything you put in there. I would also check back to this, because not that all of us or any of us are ever going to have to grab our bucket and run. But you don't know that. You don't know if one day you might have to grab your bucket and go. So, what would you put in there? For myself, I'm not on critical medication, but if I was, I'd probably make sure that got in the bucket too. So now I got water and I got my critical medication. If I had more than one pair of eyeglasses that I wore all the time, a spare pair of glasses, I'd probably put that in there. So, water, medical needs. Go on from there. What else would you put in there? Folks, thanks for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your head up, and please get out there and enjoy all your days. Bye now, folks.